Yeah, like 1,600 calories could be a medium at a fast food spot, or it could be 5 large meals of whole foods. And
Hmm.
it's like that's where people say the clean eating, but like those healthy whole foods are just huge dishes, high in micronutrients, low in calories, very satisfying, high protein, high fiber, versus like you go get the fast food, you just blew your whole calorie budget for the day in one sitting versus 5 large servings of food. And people are like, I've never ate this much in my life, but really they're eating like a half the amount of calories they were eating. So by the data, you're actually eating less than you have your whole life. It just feels like so much more because of what foods you're choosing.
Most people are malnourished and overfed.
Welcome to the Maverick podcast, where I sit down with proven and tested business leaders who take you behind the scenes in their business to share with you exactly what they're doing in today's market to win. Well, there's another element to this. It's the foundation, and it is your health and wellness. And so today, I'm really excited to bring forward Alec and Shannon Cheplak from Cheplak Live Wellness. We're going to talk about getting healthy, some of the basic framework of your nutrition and your workout, but also the importance of it impacting your business and overall life. Shannon and Alec, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you.
So, give us a lowdown really quickly. Give us just kind of an overview of what you guys do. What is the business you do? What do you guys deliver, and what are the results people get? Just as a general.
Yeah, highest possible chance of success, lowest possible chance of failure, step-by-step process.
Hmm.
There's some standards that we've put into what we organize and deliver to other human beings, where if you stay close to these standards and when you veer off, you go back to these standards, it's a proven path where you're going to keep getting better year over year in your health and fitness. So it's very clear, very direct. It's almost so simple, it's silly. And they're like, is that really it?
Yeah.
Is that really it? I'm like, that's really
They're
it.
like, this is it? I'm
Yeah.
like, yes, it's it. This
Now
is it.
just do it for the next 10 years. And they're
Hmm.
like, oh, that part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. So let's go into that specifically, kind of the business structure, and not so much the operation of the business, but how you deliver it, how do you fulfill, and then we'll get into later on the nuts and bolts of fitness and nutrition. So, let's say, for example, talk to us about who comes to you. Is it someone who's in good shape and they just want to get a six pack, or is it someone that's it's only a certain age limit? Talk to us about the different levels of fitness and age
Mhm.
groups and all
Yeah.
that you guys work with. Give us kind of an overview there.
Yeah, we pay attention closely to who we're talking to daily. And the majority of our current clients, the mass bulk of them are between 35 to 55-year-old real estate team leaders, agents, brokers who are married couples with children who typically, when they start, have between 20 to 50 pounds to lose. We have a few who have lost more than that. Shout out Janae Daniels. She's down 85 pounds on her 100-pound journey. Epic.
Hmm.
But most of them are in that 30 to 50 pounds of weight to lose. And
Hmm.
and some of them come on day one and they've already been training 5 days a week. They're like, why the heck don't I look like it?
Hmm.
And it's their diet. And then some people come on day one, they're like, I don't do anything. Where do I start? And so all varying fitness levels. But we have extensive history from day one beginners all the way up to high level competitors. But right now it's those 35 to 55-year-old married couples and parents who typically need 20 to 50 pounds to lose and want to clean up their lifestyle so they do better in their business.
Talk about your client ratio right now, male, female. You got what, about 65 people you're working with right now? Would you say one on
Yeah, I
one?
believe it's 63 if I'm not mistaken. It's probably a 55-45 split.
Hmm.
55% male, 45% female.
Really, really good. That's awesome. So, here I am. No matter what, because it doesn't matter what degree, where I'm at, my fitness journey or my knowledge. You have, how long is your program that you do? Just the first basic time frame of the program, and why do you choose that time frame initially?
What's the line we always say?
So our program is 12 weeks, and we do that to keep the crazies out that think that we're going to change their life in the month, because we need that amount of time to establish habits and behaviors that you can take with you. So whether you're with us for longer than that, at least that 12-week time frame, that's enough time to start establishing these things that you could do for the rest of your life.
Okay, really good. and say someone comes in, what's it look like for them? What are the first steps that they take? What can they expect?
Yeah. So
Explain to
there's
them
always,
challenges, all that good stuff.
yeah, the first one is always having the real life conversation of what's required before we ever agree to bring them on as a client.
Mhm.
When we talk to people, it's always clarity. Here's figure out what they need and where they need the most support and give them exactly the way we would approach it. And then at that point, it's like, okay, are you willing to do this or not? And if they're willing to do it, great. We'll dive into it. We go through an onboarding process where Shannon goes through the assessment call. What does your assessment call look like?
So when I'm on it first, now that we've established all the commitments it actually takes to do this, where you're not just, buying a product, it's a relationship and it's work. So then we go through the assessment call where I dive into your staple foods list. What do you enjoy? How can I make a diet of foods that you will actually eat? Because that's where people get off track is they're like, oh, I'm going to do this diet. Well, you don't like half the foods on that. You're not going to sustain that long term. So I dive into every category of their life and food, like what's in your pantry, and also try to fill in the holes with any nutrients I think that they're missing. I go through if they have any injury history, I'm going through that with them. I'm going through their work schedule, and we're actually planning the times of days that you're going to train, and we're putting it into your schedule. And then I schedule those in our workout app that we use. And also, I'm helping them plan what times of days that they're eating, how many meals they're going to eat, how they're going to prepare those meals, where they come from, all of those things. And even talking about their sleep schedule and things like that with them to try to get them on a good path before we start so they have some clarity around what they're doing.
Yeah.
What
Mhm.
are that just piques my curiosity. What are some of the biggest myths, misunderstandings that people come in with when you guys start to work with someone?
The biggest misunderstanding is that the people who have the results that you wanted to experience didn't go through hardship to get there. Um, that's the biggest thing where we needed to find our broad belief is we
Define
start
hardship.
what?
You mean they didn't have to go through a hardship to get the results? Define what you mean by a hardship.
By a hardship, sometimes maybe someone had to reduce or eliminate alcohol. Maybe someone had to wake up an hour earlier. Maybe someone had to change the routine, a married couple or with children and take turns going as a married couple to the gym or like figuring how it's going to fit in their day-to-day life and schedule. I mean, you're adding more on your plate, period.
Mhm.
How do I actually show up? How do I actually schedule these times? They had to be prepared and bring things with them when they travel or when they're on the job site. Like the people who got those breakthroughs had to actually change some of their choices in day-to-day life to get there. So it is a little hardship, I could say. It's because we know business leaders have a lot on their plate every day. Parents and married couples have a lot on their plate every day. And you are technically adding more on your plate. And so just knowing that it's hard and that's part of the process and there's more to it than just what meets the eye. The biggest limiting belief is expecting that it should be easy.
Mhm.
If you accept that it requires what it requires and you're willing to do it, you can experience massive life-changing breakthrough.
And what's your I'm going to go a little deeper through this next question. What's your average? Because it's a 12-week commitment, and then from there, that's their option. They can continue on, or they can move along with the framework you gave them, and see how things go from there. Tell us what your average time frame is, because you've got a lot of time under your belt now. What's your average time frame in your guys' career of coaching and training and working with people around fitness and nutrition that someone stays with you?
So since we launched this company about 18 months ago now, we actually found total clients, how long each client stayed, and then found an average. The average client stays with us for 9 months. Some much longer than that. Some do the 3 months, but of many people, we're at an average of 9 months in this company. And even before we launched this company, I had clients that were with me for 3 years, 4 years,
Yeah.
5
That
years.
was in your both of your in-person training that you did,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, years on
which is
end.
natural too. It's a little bit different. I mean, they get to have
Yeah,
that
that face to
interaction,
face.
but 9 months is remarkable because people they want to do a transformation. They think, okay, I'm fixed, right? It's like me saying, yeah, I did coaching a long time ago. I don't need coaching anymore. And as you guys both know, in knowing me very well, I'm investing more in coaching. And by the way, You both just invested more in coaching than you ever have in your life because you know that you don't arrive. Um, when you take a look at who does with no judgment to it at all, who does really really well and who struggles or just it just doesn't end up the way they hoped it would.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a personality type that does really, really well. It's someone who's like, they're dedicated to following it each day. And we kind of can see that in the beginning. When someone hits the ground running and they're following every single thing, I'm hitting all my workouts, I'm hitting my diets, that first 30 days is really a telltale sign. I wouldn't
So
say it's
I was going to say, do you know, Shannon? Can you guys sit? I mean, not that you want to judge, but have you got a pretty good sense of how this thing's going to turn out in the first 30 days?
I know on the first phone call before they buy.
yeah.
I'll tell them, I say, hey man, I really appreciate your time today. I hope you got some value. Go sleep on this. Let me know if you're really about that or not. And then they come back. We know. And we aren't in this for transactions
No.
first. It's relationship
Mm-mm.
first. Neither of us win if you purchase and then we have a negative experience. And
Mhm.
so we know before they buy.
There is that because when we're on a phone call with someone and there is a lot of pushback where we say like to the process and our ideals behind things and not to say anything, get knowledge, read, but when someone's gone down too many rabbit holes and they're like, well, what about this? Well, what about this? And I feel like this style of training is better and this and we're like, you know what? You don't have to buy this kind of thing.
Here's what I'll say. The number one telltale sign if someone's going to do really well or not, which we're not fortune tellers, but there's two things we look for is number one, highest chance of failure is reluctance.
Hmm.
When you experience reluctance to feedback, when you experience reluctance to coaching, when you experience reluctance to leadership, it's really, really hard for someone to progress.
Hmm.
That's number one. You have to surrender to what it requires. Like it requires what it requires. And then when people are going to do really well, the people who ask the most questions and are the most curious. It's
Yes.
crazy because they'll be like, I don't want to bother you. I don't want to bug you. I'm like, you are best case scenario right now. The more questions you ask me, when they're like, what's next? What do you
Yeah.
think? What about this? The people who are curious crush.
Yeah. The people that want clarity behind things, just because they want to understand, they're fantastic. And then there's some people that just do it. They don't need it. They're a robot. They can just do what we say. They know it's going to work, but if there's someone it's not clarity, well, I did this today instead because I thought it was better. Instead of saying, hey, what would you think if I maybe substituted this? They want to be the leader in this and they want to be in charge. And like he said, they're not surrendering. So that's where we see that it's not the best relationship because they haven't bought
Yeah.
in.
I'm like, wait,
You're training
are
yourself
you the
now.
coach? You the client? I'm like, oh, okay. So you're just coaching
That's my
yourself, right?
like, oh, you're
You
going to train
know,
yourself now. That's
and
fine.
we're playing, but I mean, that's the
It
Yeah,
really does
reality.
ask you,
happen.
when people come in, and maybe there's a mix, I don't know. Maybe you haven't tracked this. Do you find people have more resistance to the exercise or the food?
The food.
Food,
It's the food.
food and alcohol,
Food and
those two.
alcohol. Yeah, alcohol is a big one. So I will
But
say,
how about those that can alcohol have, I mean, just stripping that out, can that have a dramatic immediate impact in the first 10 days, 2 weeks? I mean,
yes.
can that be if someone's drinking regularly? And I'm not saying get loaded every night, but say someone does a couple glasses of wine every single night and they cut that out, or even a glass of wine every single night, they cut out. I mean, can they see something pretty quick just on that thing alone if they keep everything else
They
stable?
could literally do none of the other standards we recommend
Yeah.
and just eliminate alcohol and lose a bunch of weight.
And sleep better, have less anxiety, not be bloated like there's so many other things that go along with it.
Self-confidence, everything.
It's wild.
Clarity. I have chronic headaches and I'm like, you drink.
And let me,
That's why.
two things I want to say. This is, I kid you not, I can't make this stuff up. I'm on a phone call the other day and a very nice human being was saying, I have digestion issues. I have sleep issues. I have energy issues. I take this drug for this. I take this drug for that. I take this drug for this. And I said, do you drink alcohol by chance? And this person goes, I'm in real estate. Of course I drink.
That was the response.
And
That was it.
I
Oh.
said, well, just so you know, you're taking 3 different drugs for symptoms of alcohol, over consumption of alcohol. I said, if you stop drinking, you might not need any of those 3 drugs.
Just saying.
That's one. The second one is alcohol is 7 calories per gram. Sugar is only 4 calories per gram. You're quite literally drinking more calories than you're eating. Like you're drinking enough calories for days on end and don't even realize it.
And that's how we make it logical, because some people I don't want them to get defensive when we're talking about it, you know? So I'm going to say, okay, let's look at a day and let me pull up what's your drink of choice. I'll pull it up and I'll say, how many of those do you have a day? And I'll be like, okay, you know, if you're drinking that every day throughout the week, you're having like 4,000 extra calories a week, right? And then you're just like, oh.
This one's so funny. So what I've learned, because reluctance, the 2 biggest reluctance are on tracking food
Mhm.
and drinking less or none at all. With alcohol reluctance, I've learned how to navigate. I've learned this from you. Self-discovery is the greatest way someone's going to learn. So when they
Yeah.
ask, so to be in your program, this like their last objection, right? To be in your program, do I have to quit drinking? And I said, well, you know how I feel about that. You know how my dad feels about that. We're biased towards sobriety, but this is not an AA meeting by any means. I say, you know what? Keep drinking. You can keep drinking. Just start tracking every alcohol beverage that you have. And then when I give you a nutrition plan, you're going to go into MyFitnessPal and you're going to set your custom macros goals. We give you an exact nutrition plan with your calories and macros. And when you set that macros goals and you log your alcohol, I think you're going to have a good little self-discovery moment. And so what's going to happen is, say that someone's at 1,600 calories a day. I'm just throwing a number out there. And then they go drink Friday and Saturday. And from alcohol alone, they have 800 of their calories of that 1,600. So now they only have 800 calories of food left for the day. And they're like, dude, this is impossible. There's no way 1,600 calories is not enough. Like I can't lose weight. Like, and then what they realize is they would much rather eat food than drink alcohol. And so we've helped people literally get sober and quit drinking because they had a 1,600 calorie budget and they would have rather had 800 calories of food instead of 800 calories of alcohol.
Or even the contrast to that, I've had people that maybe went sober for a month. They're like, well, I'm not going to do it long term, but I want to do it for a month. And then we're even fitting alcohol back in their plan, hitting their calories. But after drinking on the weekend and still hitting their calories, their weight would go up because of the effects that it had on their body and their digestion and all of those things, and sleep and anxiety and stress levels and all of that, because that affects it. So that
Right.
like, this is really unforgiving. I said, no, it's not unforgiving. It's the alcohol. Like you
Yeah.
can't, it's gonna affect you.
Yeah, but I love the track and the alcohol play.
Yeah, it's a good
There's
one.
no sense in arguing back and forth over. I'm like, no,
Can't
go ahead.
argue.
You're good. Just fit it in your budget. And they're like, that is not fun.
Let's go a little bit deeper into the fat loss, because I think that's what most people want, fat loss, and at varying degrees. And then there's, you know, a look and then a feel. And then people start losing some weight. And they start going, wait a minute, I want to really look different. But,
Mhm.
you know, the myths around, you know, you've got to work out an hour and a half a day, 7 days a week. You know, if you were to just as a general, if someone stuck to their macros and, um, you know, ate clean, well, clean's not fair to say because it's as long as you stay within your macros. I mean, you can kind of eat
Yeah,
what you want.
so our approach with nutrition is controlled total calories, and even bonus is controlled macros and micros, but really it's meats are obviously the star of the show. So protein first, then fruits and veggies second, and then your favorite carbs and fats with the remaining calories. And so that allows you to have a high protein, high fiber, high micronutrient diet, and whatever calories are left, eat whatever you enjoy. So it's flexible dieting, but there's still some principles.
Yeah,
Sure.
and then I even dive into it because people report everything to us in the morning. And if their digestion is off or something is off, or say they're feeling very, very hungry and they're not losing weight, but they feel like they're starving, I could dive into their day and say, well, you're picking foods that are really high calorie and low volume. So you're going to feel hungrier because you're picking these tiny things. And then I make suggestions like, let's have more whole foods, because the people who have switched to whole foods in their diet, they can't believe how much they're eating.
Yeah, like 1,600 calories could be a medium at a fast food spot, or it could be 5 large meals of whole foods. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like that's where people say the clean eating, but like those healthy whole foods are just huge dishes, high in micronutrients, low in calories, very satisfying, high protein, high fiber, versus like you go get the fast food, you just blew your whole calorie budget for the day in one sitting versus 5 large servings of food. And people are like, I've never ate this much in my life, but really they're eating like a half the amount of calories they were eating. So by the data, you're actually eating less than you have your whole life. It just feels like so much more because of what foods you're choosing.
Most people are malnourished and overfed.
Oh,
That's what I see. So
interesting.
when they dive into it, because they're like, I don't eat that much. And then I'm like, but then they explain to me what they do eat in a day. I said, well, I'm not hearing any micronutrients in there. I'm just hearing that you're just eating blindly a bunch of food or drinking alcohol. So really giving them the difference that they see in just the way they feel. The That's the number one. People are like, I feel like amazing. I feel like a superhero now, because they're getting all of these nutrients in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So now they just feel incredible. And they were used to feeling bad for so long, they didn't know what that felt like.
Right, right.
Some people have felt bad for so long that they no longer know what it feels like to feel good.
Yeah.
Oh, really good. What if you were to go just again from a general cross section, you look at your people that have they've stuck to the nutrition plan and worked out consistently and achieved their fitness and nutrition goals over time. Because a lot of people think you got to live in the gym. If you were to say what sort of active time frame in a week do you think people are spent in some form of exercise that you're monitoring and you're seeing? I mean, we know different exercises can get different
Mm-hmm.
results,
Yeah,
but what
duration,
would you say
time
the
commitment.
average is in a week that someone's needs to make available for exercise?
Yeah, the actual time commitment is 3 to 5 days a week of 40 to 60 minutes of strength training. And then when it comes to cardio, because we also do cardio, you could break up a steps count in your day where it doesn't impact your schedule, where you don't even realize it. So like you could walk 10 minutes after a meal, you could get a walk pad in your office. We have clients who are in their office on a walk pad at their desk. You could literally walk and talk for your social media videos or your phone calls, and you don't even realize you did cardio. It didn't change your schedule at all. So
That
steps
takes me
count.
into another question. This is really good. So let's go further. And we know this and we've seen it. And I've been in the gym and we've helped people because you can sense it and see it. How about those people? First of all, let me ask you this. Have you guys had any people come in and, gosh, I really want to do this, but I'm intimidated by the gym and I don't know what to do. And how do you handle that person who comes in and says, I'm not going to go in a gym, or I don't even know how to exercise, or talk to us about that? Because I think there's a lot of people out there. And I know Alec for, I don't know how many years, 11, 12 years, you and I, and anytime we'd be in the gym, not every time, but if we saw someone, man, you could sense it and you wanted to bring them in because we knew it could do for their life. Shannon, talk to us about that.
I've had people, the first time they were going into the gym, they're sitting crying in their car, trying to just get the motivation to go in there. And now
People that
they're,
you've coached.
Yeah,
yeah,
our
recently,
clients
our
who literally
clients
signed up.
who now are like, excuse my language, the squat rack's my bitch. And it's because seriously. So it's a mental thing. And I talk about it with them because one, you're there, they have to understand walking in there, you're just there. And that is better than 90% of people. The moment that you actually walk into that gym and they feel like everybody is staring at them, and it's not the case. I will guarantee you, most of the people, 99% of the people in the gym are too concerned with themselves to stare at you. And also, people are very helpful in the gym. They get intimidated by the biggest bodybuilder that you see in the gym is probably the nicest person that's there. Like,
They
don't be,
always are.
they always
Mhm.
are. Don't be intimidated. Ask if you really want help, ask questions. But the way that we structure our program, the actual workouts, there is a video next to every exercise that explains how to do it. So it's like having a personal trainer in your pocket. So it takes away that, because a lot of people are like, I don't know how to do, or I don't know what to do. There's a video on it this is how you do it, so that they have their exact plan going in. They know how many sets, how many reps, exactly what equipment to use to go through that. And then even once they break through that barrier of going in and picking up that first weight, that first day, it disappears. I've never had anybody go more than a day or two where they were a little stressed out about it. It's just the initial anxiety of walking in.
Yeah. And what I want to say is, while you're worried about if people are looking at you, they're worried about if people are looking at them.
Yeah.
They're more
That's
worried about
always.
themselves, number one. And so,
Always worried about themselves.
so yeah, they're wondering if you think they look funny. And then the second one is in these gym environments, people farther ahead have been where you're at. And so they're more, you could always be the best leader to someone who's where you've been in the past. And so they look, in what way could I lift this person up to keep going?
Yeah.
Because we see people come and go. And then the third one, it's so funny. It's hilarious. The sit in the car and cry before you go in the gym, and the sit in the locker room and hide in a bunch of layers of clothes with a hat on and your hat down before going onto the gym floor is such a real thing
Mm-hmm.
that people deal with, even our clients, that our community took a life of its own. And there was an inside joke in our Facebook group where our clients, especially the ones who were afraid in the car or the ones who were afraid in the locker room, now post gym selfies. It's a joke. So everyone's like, show your gym selfies. People who were afraid to go buy the dumbbells or the squat racks now will take their gym selfie and with a full gym in the background as just part of like, I'm not scared anymore. And
Yeah.
they took a life of their own doing it.
Yeah.
They used to, at first gym selfie ever, and they're like hiding alone in the corner. One take, I didn't want anyone to see me taking it. Like they felt embarrassed, and now they'll just go line up in front of 100 people and snap it and post it in the group. And it's like, it's totally a real thing, and it's something that our community has helped each other with.
Or even women
So
in their
let's
60s. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
well, let's stop right there because I want to really point this out. So this isn't just about your fitness and muscle and fat and eating healthy and having more energy and sleeping good and maybe reversing some health issues. Um, let's talk about the mindset and the confidence that is built. Um, what and not being specific, we always want to respect confidentiality. Um, have you seen people change? Forget the physical part of it, but have you seen people interpersonally change as a human being just from exercising and nutrition and feeling better? Talk about that. How has it
It's
impacted confidence?
it's a complete identity shift, completely. I don't even need to say a name, but if you know, you know, he's all over social. Dude got a new haircut. He got a new body. He's all tanning now, and he's all yelling on the treadmill on talking videos. And the guy was last winter feeling down bad, slumped on the couch, lacking confidence, and now he's like on top of the world. And he's totally an example in our community. And so we've seen people go from that timid. I mean, even the way he carries himself, the way he presents himself, his hygiene, like literally the way he dresses, it just happened naturally through his habits changing.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen people's identity shift and turn into like they're pouring out energy, like they're just super confident. And it's cool because you can see it like throughout the year. The relationship improves everything. This is one guy that comes to mind. Another one is we've had quote unquote a text message in my 13 years of real estate. The best months I've ever had in my business is when I was most committed with you guys. Can I sign up for a whole year up front in advance and pay for you? And we don't even do that. We don't push paid in fulls. He literally said, I need to pay you for the year in advance because my business is the best it's ever been when I've been more dedicated to my fitness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And besides that, because giving like men as examples, there's women that were like, I always identified as the fat girl. That's, because we, all types of women, I coach women, who need to, like we say, lose 50 pounds. Some need to lose 20 pounds. Those moments when they step into the dressing room and they're asking for like, oh, I asked for a size 20 and now a size 12, they're crying because they always identified that they were in this pattern that they could never change. I'm the fat girl. And I'm like, you're 130 pounds. This isn't, you don't identify as this human anymore. And you can see their whole life transform just from that confidence that they're getting and changing as a human being. Like now I'm someone who leads my entire family in their health and fitness.
I've
That's the
seen
really
that.
cool
You've
thing.
seen that.
That's a really, really cool thing is they're like, oh, even just women. My husband is doing it now. My children are starting to do it now. Entire families. Hey, I just want to thank you guys because my, son lost 20 pounds.
People don't understand the ripple effect that their choices have as an individual. We hosted the 12 weeks transformation challenge. Again, congrats, Nick. He won $12,000. Amazing transformation. But there's one of our clients, and he posted this. That's why I'm sharing it. Our group collectively lost, I believe, 413 pounds in those 12 weeks, the people we were working with. But there's one guy who lost 30 pounds. Let me tell you about this one guy. It's not Nick, it's another client. This guy lost 30 pounds, and you know what he said? It's so crazy. He said, it's cool that I lost 30 pounds. He said, my family lost a combined 240 pounds the past 12 weeks. And we didn't even coach them. They just watched his example. His kids, his significant other, his family lost over 240 pounds in 12 weeks because of the ripple effect of his commitment.
That's huge. Take us into let's do this. Let's close with these two scenarios. High level, I guess. Say I am a woman that wants to lose 20 pounds, and I come in. What's the first thing that you do? Is there an intake form? Are there pictures? And how do you get me up and talk to me about from a woman perspective, how I come into the program? What's it look like for me to get up and running?
Well, the first thing is always our discovery call, because yes, sometimes I find that women put out a number because they're scared that they won't achieve the number they actually want. So we dive into that because they'll be like, I just want to lose 10 pounds. And I'm like, at what weight did you feel your best? At what weight did you feel? Oh, well, that wasn't since high school. And I'm like, okay, well, what weight was that though? Let's dive into that. So then we really dive into what the real goal is instead of the goal that they have with the wall that they're putting up because they're scared of failure. So number one thing. So then we dive into how long that looks like. It's setting them up for how long it actually takes to do these things is the first thing that we do. Because if someone say wants to lose 20 pounds and they're going to lose 2 pounds a week, well, that's going to take minimally 10 weeks to do in a perfect world as well. So we want to maybe throw in a little bit of extra time for that. Like, okay, that's why there's the 12 weeks. But some people have 50, 60 pounds. I'm like, that's going to take a year because we're going to do this right. And so
Right.
just setting that in that it's not quicker is not better. So that's number one. But in the intake form, and then after that, after we've set all the standards, we get their measurements. I get their photos, front, back, both sides. Like I said, their schedule, their age, their height, anything that we need that could help make their programs very specific to them. And it's all things that we've agreed upon as well. And we're really looking at all the data and what has to go into that very specific person. Because here's another thing, people think that it's certain people that are the same size should have the same amount of calories. They have like a false perception
Really
of
good.
that.
Yeah.
So we have to dive into what the needs are for that person specifically.
Yeah. So what that looks like is you go through the discovery, we make a commitment, you fill out a written assessment. It gives us all the details we need for a very specific approach to your training, nutrition, and lifestyle. You get on a follow-up call, an assessment onboarding call. You get all your favorite food lists, your grocery list. Then within 72 hours of a completed written assessment and assessment phone call, you get delivered the first phase of your program. You receive a very specific nutrition plan with exactly how much to cook and prep and have ready with the foods you said you enjoy enough to eat consistently, and any food recommendations we made based off what you may be deficient in or missing in your list, then you're required to download MyFitnessPal premium version of the app. You put in the custom macro goals we gave you, and then each day when you type in, it subtracts from your budget. Your objective is to stay within 100 calories over or under your calorie budget daily. So you try to zero that out. Always hit your protein goal. Then you go into your schedule in the Trainerize app. You click start workouts, Monday's workout, like a personal trainer in your pocket. You log how much weight you lifted, how many reps you did, how many sets you did, and then you track progression throughout the app. And then every single day, there's a check-in communication text. This is the biggest difference between the way that we operate and everyone else, is you get to communicate with us daily. The purpose of this is so that when problems happen, they don't snowball before there's an intervention. You wrote a book, Interrupt the Pattern. And so this daily check-in allows people to literally interrupt the pattern in the moment when it's happening and replace it with new habits and behaviors. So through this daily communication is where people actually have lifestyle intervention. They actually change their habits. And then throughout the process, we just adjust training, cardio, nutrition based off results. It's very streamlined, very straight to the point.
And also, I send out emails twice a week to remind you if you've fallen off, if something's happened, if you forgot to check in, remind you to check in with me. And it's not like, hey, just check in. It's like a whole thing I send out explaining why it's important and, just a reminder. And we also do 2 times weekly Zooms with our clients to keep them on track.
Group Zoom coaching sessions.
Let me ask you, do you, is every body different? I know that there's some baselines, expectations, ratios of food. You get someone set up and say, is there a discovery time for you, maybe in the first 10 days or 2 weeks when you get someone set up and Shannon, that's why, and Alec too, that's why you guys ride along so closely with people. You have a discovery that, oh my gosh, if you even look at carbs, you blow up. Whereas you've got someone else that you've got to feed them carbs because they churn. Is there some science to this where you've got to look at each body differently and go, wow, you do better with fats, you do better with carbs. Talk to us about that. Our body's different in responding that way.
Yeah, our approach to nutrition is pretty blanket. It's high protein, moderate carb, moderate fat. So we balance both. But when you give someone a nutrition plan, like there's all these macro calculators, which we don't even use, but people do, or we have our own formula that we use to start with what macros we're going to give people. But you give someone a calorie budget. That's why we have a range in our macro formula that we use. You could give them a budget and you want them to lose 2 pounds a week. They lose 5 pounds the first week. Well, now I got to give you 10% more calories. We got to increase your diet. Say that you give them a diet, you think they're going to lose 2 pounds that week, they gain a pound or two. Well, now I got to do a 10% calories decrease.
Well, so watch this. So some people can get into some programs and not lose weight and get frustrated, and they're following the program to the T, but they don't have an expert riding alongside them inspecting.
Yeah. So we're inspecting the daily standards as well, because I can see the really interesting thing about our program is I can see everything the clients eat daily. So I dive into that, and also through tracking, they track their workouts, they track their cardio, they track their food. We make sure that there's a baseline of 7 days of consistency. Because I would say that's one of the hardest things is if you're up here and you're down here and you're up here and you're down here, there's no consistency in that for us to get a baseline. So that's why we always talk about the recommit. Like, let's recommit. We have to get 7 days of consistency and consistent data to be able to change things. But also in that, some people just are so used to not eating, like I said, volume of food that they're used to eating so much sugar and things like that, maybe just snacking throughout the day, that they're not hungry. So so then in those places, when you're talking about more fats or carbs, I try to give them some more fats because they're higher calorie, lower volume foods, to try to have them hit their goals at least. But the number one thing they have to focus on is protein daily.
Yeah. So what I would say is where most programs are flawed is that there's either extreme standards, and it's not a standard if you can't sustain it for 10 years. So you're taking an extreme approach you can't do for 10 years. So it's not a standard. That's one. Or two, there's no clear standards. It's kind of vague. And so we have a clear standards list. It's 3 to 5 days a week of strength training, 10K steps or 30 minutes zone 2 cardio 5 days a week, 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night, less alcohol or none at all, and blood work and updated health markers a minimum twice a year. And
Mhm.
so these are the standards. Now, what we do is we structure a specific plan that fit in the standards, and then we assess, are you really in a plateau or has there been a lapse in your commitment?
Mhm.
And 90% of the time, it's a lapse in commitment.
Yeah.
But say that there are one-offs where they've been completely committed for a week or 2 weeks, and then what we wanted to have happen didn't happen. It's really easy to change. You either increase calories 10% or you decrease calories 10%. And now all of a sudden they're getting the result they want.
Mhm. Yeah, just minor changes, and it's really interesting to see. It's just that little tiny tweak, and then right back in the right direction again.
Let's put a bow on this and then let people know where they can connect with you. And the nice thing is you guys put out so much free information people could follow and jump on and never have to hire you, quite frankly.
Mhm.
You guys are true contributors. But I want to end with what I think is the maybe the unspoken obstacle. It is brought up when people are looking at commitment, but a lot of people may not come forward. Have you found the people that looked at it and said, "Oh my gosh, now I've got to find this extra 10 hours a week." Let's call it 10 hours a week. And maybe I'm wrong, but
I got to
from
go.
a workout perspective and from a standpoint of having to do your meal prep, etc. Um, did you find that all they had to eliminate were things that weren't really productive in their life, and they did have the time? Does it force? I don't like time management. Did it force better choice management with their
Mhm.
time when they made this commitment?
Yeah, I find that people who tend to not be able to make time for something like that, I hate, like you said, I don't want to call it, that, but they have all these time wasters. They make things harder on themselves. Like there's these things throughout the day where they're doing that it's just going to make their day harder. So what I do is I try to actually be like, send me your schedule, send me exactly what you're doing for the day, because I've managed before hundreds of people at a time. I'm like, you write down what you're doing in the day. I want to know. I want to know where the time is going, because when they're thinking about food prepping, they're like avoiding it because they think it's going to take so much time, when really that's food prepping maybe takes an hour. So things like that. And I try to actually help them find the time for that. Or we offer them services that will deliver food to their home. We try to make it the easiest that we can. Hey, you don't have time to go to the gym? Here's equipment that you can have in your house to get started. There is no excuse there. So we find the little gaps, and it, and when you want to get something done, you're going to get it done.
You're going to
So
find
we
a way.
find you'll find a
Yeah.
way. You'll
Yeah.
find a way to get it. I used to work 16 hours a day and I would train twice a day. You find a way, if you want to get it done. And if you really are invested in changing your life. We have clients that are messaging us that, are out at conferences. Hey, I went to the gym at 4 a.m. before my 7 a.m. flight. Hey, I know my flight's, at this time, so I have to go to the gym at 10 p.m. at night. They get it done because they want to get it done.
Well, we see pictures all over the internet. Really, really
Hmm.
good. Um, this has been really good. I appreciate you guys really, I think simplifying it, but it's something that certainly requires more detail to it. Where can people track you down, find you, get on an email list of daily? Because you guys, don't you send out some sort of fitness or nutrition tip every single day to people?
Yeah.
Free stuff?
Yeah.
Where's the best place they can go to get on board with information, or reach out to you and have a discovery call and learn more about what you guys are doing?
Yeah. Number one, first point of entry is, and you say this all the time, people don't always need to be taught more, they need to be reminded more. So that's why we're so committed to our daily reminder email. We give you the information, we teach you how to diet, how to work out, how to change your mindset. But it's really that daily reminder and email from Shannon and I. So you can go to getfitstayfitforfree.com/Alec, or you can go to getfitstayfitforfree.com/Shannon.
Okay, good.
And
Awesome.
that's where you're going to start to receive those daily reminders. And we're going to teach you exactly what it is that we're going through in our community and how we're supporting.
And cheplackwellness.com.
Yep. If you want to book a discovery call and you like to explore what coaching actually looks like and understand what it is, we can unpack it step by step. Cheplakwellness.com.
Awesome. Really good. I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you.